I was raised in a Christian home. My mom was a devout believer, but my dad not so much. We grew up pretty poor. I didn't have a lot of the things that the other kids had, but I was blessed nonetheless and didn't complain much. At a young age, I was a very gifted athlete, and baseball was my passion. From an early age up until 19 to 20 years old, I was determined to be a professional baseball player. I broke records all over the place, and at times I felt like I was on top of the world. Life was simple. I never really got involved in the normal teen stuff. Sex, drugs, and drinking were all things that I avoided. During this time, I was extremely involved in my church, youth group, praise band, and Bible study group. I heard Jeremiah 29:11 a million times. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future. But there was one huge problem. I thought I had it all under control. I was pretty stinking cocky back in the day. I thought I had it all figured out, but very quickly it would all come crashing down. After graduating high school and during off-season training, I began coordinating spring tryouts, but I wasn't getting calls back. I had to accept a harsh reality and realize that baseball was not going to be in my future. I found myself in a bit of a depression. Fast forward a few months, I enrolled in school and began to study computer science. Up until this point, I spent most of my education just getting by enough to stay on the baseball team and nothing more. College was a huge wake-up call for me. And to add to that, I applied for an internship with a small organization called NASA. Thinking that opportunity was impossible to obtain, I was shocked to not only get an interview, but to be hired for the job. But again, a huge problem. I thought I was the reason I got this job. I continued to move along with my life, never truly considering my walk with Christ, never really praying about how God could use me. Whenever I ran into a friend, someone who I used to play ball with, or old schoolmate, we'd be chatting away, and I'd just be waiting for them to ask that question. So what are you up to now? So I could quickly say, oh, I work for NASA. After 3 years and failing to keep my GPA to a level necessary to maintain my job, I faced another failure. I lost my internship. But God was still faithful. I interviewed and was hired to a small aviation company. I worked hard for 2 years and eventually was promoted to IT manager, and I had an awesome opportunity to do some amazing things. But all the while, never truly giving my success to God. I prayed, I attended church, but I wasn't truly invested in my walk with Christ. I soon met this gorgeous girl. We began to date. It was bad enough that I thought through my abilities I was some gifted athlete. And because of my hard work, I had some bigwig job. But now I'm engaged and soon to marry a model and beauty queen. Shortly after we were married, the company I'd worked for had gone bankrupt. The job I was so proud of was gone, and all the while we were expecting our first baby. I spent the next 5 years jumping from job to job, trying to provide the life for my family that I wanted when I was young. During this time, we were searching for a church to call home and couldn't find a place until we somehow landed here at Oak Ridge. We took the classes, joined a small group. We began to apply lessons that we received in our lives. We even took a money management course called Financial Peace University. My wife was in 100%, but it took a long time for me to give my finances to God. I fought like crazy, and I realized something huge. I was not giving my life to God, much less my finances. My walk with Christ was not what it was supposed to be. It took over 18 months for my wife and I to sell our cars, sell our house, and eventually move into an apartment where we would be getting closer and closer to obtaining debt freedom. Then we discovered we were pregnant with our third baby. I was mad with God. We were working so hard to be debt-free, and I felt like God had allowed every plan that we put into place to crumble right in front of my face. And in a way, he was. See, I always made a plan. I thought I had it under control. Looking back, God was allowing me to do this because of his awesome plan. With the third baby on the way, my wife would have to be a stay-at-home mom since childcare costs were more than her income. I was working a job that I hated. It kept me working 60 to 70 hours per week. And when this little baby was born, we weren't going to make our bills. So we prayed for God to intervene. We bought a tiny house, and we're now living rent-free. I know what you're thinking. Y'all think we're crazy, but we absolutely love it. Pastor Brian's messages on habits really confirmed everything that we're doing. We have a plan to be completely debt-free in 3 years. We will be able to raise the money for my wife to follow her dream to one day be a chef. Psalms 37:4 says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." I can't imagine my life without my gorgeous baby boy, Atlas. To think that I was mad with God when we found out we were pregnant is so stupid and self-centered. I believe I'm living my testimony right now. My prayer is that God will continue to build me to be the man he wants me to be. I'm still a work in progress, and I daily give God all that I am. And I can't wait to see what he has planned for our family. I repeated Romans 8:31 a million times in my life, but it's finally starting to stick. If God is for us, then who can be against us? Thank you.